The glass tower of Vanguard Corp pierced the skyline like a silver needle. It was a place of ambition, money, and polished surfaces. On the 40th floor, in a corner office that smelled of espresso and expensive cologne, a young man named Theo stood looking out the window. He was the newly appointed CEO. He was 32, sharp, and ruthless. He believed in efficiency above all else. To him, people were just numbers on a spreadsheet. Down in the lobby, 5 minutes before sunrise, a woman named Martha was polishing the marble floor. She had worked there for 10 years. She knew every crack in the tile, every squeaky door hinge, every secret the building held. She wore a blue uniform that had been washed 1,000 times. She was quiet. She was invisible. But what nobody knew, not the security guards, not the receptionists, and certainly not the arrogant new CEO, was that Martha wasn't just the janitor. She was the wife of the man who owned the entire empire. Her husband, Don Rafael, was a legend in the business world, but a ghost in the office. He had retired years ago, leaving the daily operations to a board of directors while he enjoyed a quiet life. He was a man who believed that character was revealed only when people thought no one was watching. Years ago, he and Martha had made a pact. "Let me work there, Rafael," she had said. "Let me see how they treat the invisible people. I want to know if the heart of your company is still beating." Rafael hesitated but agreed. It was their secret experiment, a test of humanity in a world of sharks. For a decade, Martha scrubbed floors and emptied trash cans. She saw executives cheat on their spouses in the elevators. She heard managers stealing credit for their team's work. She saw it all. But she endured it with a silent dignity that unsettled some and was ignored by most. Then came Theo. Theo didn't just ignore Martha, he seemed offended by her presence. He would step over her wet floor signs with a sneer. If she was cleaning the elevator, he would wait for the next one, muttering about the smell of bleach. The incident happened on a Tuesday. The board of directors was coming for a quarterly review. Theo was nervous. He wanted everything perfect. He was walking down the main corridor with his assistant when he saw Martha. She was on her knees, scrubbing a coffee stain from the carpet. "What is she doing here?" Theo hissed, stopping in his tracks. "I told you I wanted the hallway clear." "It's just Martha, sir," the assistant whispered. "She's cleaning a spill." "She looks like poverty," Theo spat, loud enough for Martha to hear. "She ruins the aesthetic. Get rid of her." The assistant looked uncomfortable. "Sir, she's been here for 10 years. She's reliable." "I don't care if she built the pyramids," Theo snapped. "I want a fresh image. Fire her, today." Martha froze. She didn't look up. She finished scrubbing the spot, dried it with a cloth, and stood up slowly. She met Theo's eyes. There was no fear in them, only a deep, unsettling calm. An hour later, Martha was summoned to the glass-walled conference room. The entire team was there. Finance, marketing, HR. Theo sat at the head of the table, tapping a gold pen against the mahogany surface. "Martha," Theo began, not bothering to offer her a seat. "We are restructuring. Your role is obsolete. We are outsourcing cleaning services to a cheaper agency." Martha stood with her hands clasped in front of her uniform. "I understand, sir. Is there a problem with my work?" Theo laughed. It was a cruel, short sound. "Your work? Anyone can hold a mop, Martha. It's about the image. You don't fit the future of Vanguard Corp. Frankly, you're an eyesore." Then he said the words that would seal his fate. "Pack your trash and get out. You're fired, you poor wretch." The room went silent. A deadly silence. The HR director looked down at her notes. The marketing VP shifted in his chair. It was one thing to fire someone. It was another to destroy their dignity. Martha took a deep breath. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She simply nodded. "Thank you for letting me know, sir," she said softly. She turned and walked out. Her head was held high. Her steps were steady. As the door clicked shut, whispers erupted. Why did he call her that? That was unnecessary. But Theo just smirked. He felt powerful. He had removed a stain. Martha walked out of the building into the cold afternoon air. She took her phone from her pocket. Her hand trembled slightly, not from sadness, but from anger. She dialed a number. "Hello, my love," a deep voice answered. "Raphael," Martha said. "It's time." "Did something happen?" Raphael asked, sensing the change in her tone. "He fired me," Martha said. "But that's not the problem. He called me trash." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. When Raphael spoke again, his voice was ice cold. "Meet me at the main entrance in 1 hour. Wear your uniform." 1 hour later, a black limousine pulled up to the curb of Vanguard Corp. The doorman rushed to open it, expecting a client. Instead, Don Raphael stepped out. He was wearing a tailored navy suit, leaning on a cane with a silver handle. He waited. Martha walked up to him, still in her blue uniform. He kissed her forehead gently, in front of everyone. "Are you ready?" he asked. "I am," she replied. They walked in together. The receptionist dropped her phone. Security guards straightened up in panic. Don Raphael hadn't been seen in the building for 5 years, but everyone knew who he was. And he was holding the hand of the janitor. They took the private elevator to the 40th floor. Theo was in the middle of a toast with the board members, celebrating his cost-cutting measures. The doors to the conference room swung open. Raphael walked in with Martha by his side. Theo frowned. "Excuse me? You can't be in here. And why is the cleaning lady back?" One of the older board members stood up so fast his chair fell over. "Don Raphael!" Theo's arrogance faltered. "Raphael, the owner." Raphael didn't look at the board. He looked at Theo. "I hear you made some changes today, Theo." Theo tried to smile, sweat beading on his forehead. "Yes, sir. Efficiency upgrades. I cut dead weight. We saved money on maintenance by firing—" "By firing my wife?" Raphael interrupted softly. The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush bones. Theo's face drained of all color. He looked at Martha. The blue uniform, the rough hands. "Your wife?" Theo whispered. "Martha has been observing this company for 10 years, Raphael said, his voice rising. "She told me about the good workers. She told me about the problems. And today, she told me about you." Raphael walked closer to Theo. "You called her trash. You said she didn't fit the image." Raphael turned to the room. "The image of this company is hard work, humility, respect. This woman knows more about this building than you ever will. She knows the names of the security guards' children. Do you?" Theo was shaking. "Sir, please, I didn't know. If I had known she was your wife." "That is exactly the problem." Raphael slammed his hand on the table. "If you knew she was rich, you would have treated her with respect. But because you thought she was poor, you treated her like dirt. That reveals your character." Martha stepped forward. For the first time, she looked at Theo not as an employee, but as a judge. "I don't want you to fire him, Raphael," she said. The room gasped. Even Theo looked up, hope in his eyes. "What?" Raphael asked, surprised. "Firing him is too easy," Martha said. "He needs to learn. He needs to understand what it feels like to be invisible." She looked at Theo. "You want to keep your job? Fine, but not as CEO." She reached into her pocket and pulled out her ring of keys. The keys to the supply closets. The keys to the trash compactor. She tossed them onto the mahogany table. They slid across the polished wood and stopped right in front of Theo. "You start tomorrow at 5 a.m., Martha said. "Uniform size large. You will clean the floors you walked on. You will empty the trash you created. For 3 months. If you survive, maybe you'll learn enough respect to sit in this chair again." Theo looked at the keys. He looked at the board members who were nodding in agreement. He had no choice. It was either this or professional suicide. The next morning, the employees of Vanguard Corp saw something they would never forget. The arrogant young man who used to bark orders was now pushing a mop bucket in the lobby, wearing a blue uniform. He learned. Oh, he learned. He learned that the marble doesn't shine itself. He learned that people look through you when you hold a broom. He learned humility the hard way. Martha eventually retired for real. She and Raphael spent their days traveling the world, but the culture of the company changed forever. No one dared to disrespect the invisible workers again because they knew that in that building, the person emptying the trash might just own the place.